This time, we delve into the mysterious and heartbreaking case of Relisha Rudd, an 8-year-old girl from Washington, D.C., whose disappearance revealed deep cracks in the system meant to protect her. She was just 8 years old, a sweet, curious little girl with big brown eyes and a quiet voice. She lived in a shelter but dreamed of something more. One day, she stopped showing up at school. Weeks passed before anyone noticed she was gone. And by the time police were called, it was far too late. Relisha lived in Washington, D.C. with her mother and brothers. They stayed at the D.C. General Family Shelter, a converted hospital with a troubled history. The conditions were poor. Families lived in cramped rooms. Drugs, crime and neglect were part of daily life. But despite all of that, Relisha remained hopeful. She loved going to school. Her teachers said she was bright and creative. She had dreams of being a doctor one day. She craved attention and affection, and that's where the story begins to darken. At the shelter, Relisha's mother, Shamika Young, allowed her daughter to spend time with a man named Kahlil Tatum. He wasn't a teacher. He wasn't a mentor. He was a janitor at the shelter, a 51-year-old man with a criminal record. Still, he gave Relisha gifts, took her to see Disney on Ice, brought her food. He gained the trust of her mother, and then he started taking her away for longer periods of time. In February 2014, Relisha stopped going to school. Her absences added up, and still no red flags were raised. Her family told school officials she was with a doctor named Dr. Tatum, being treated for illness. The school accepted it. No one verified the information. There was no Dr. Tatum, and the man they were referring to, Kahlil Tatum, wasn't even pretending to be a doctor. He was just there, present in Relisha's life. No one asked why. It wasn't until March 19, nearly a month after she had been last seen at school, that someone finally reported her missing. By that time, the trail had gone cold. When police launched their investigation, they focused immediately on Kahlil Tatum, but they were already too late. Just days before, on March 1, surveillance footage had captured Relisha and Tatum walking down a hallway at a Holiday Inn Express in D.C. That was the last known sighting of her. 3 weeks later, on March 20, Tatum's wife Andrea was found shot to death in a Maryland motel room. She had been murdered, and Tatum was the prime suspect. An arrest warrant was issued. A massive search began. The FBI, police and volunteers combed through parks, shelters, train stations and hotels. They searched landfills. They searched his last known locations. They searched Kenilworth Park and Aquatic Gardens, a marshy expanse near the Anacostia River. On March 31, they found him. Kahlil Tatum was dead. He had shot himself with a handgun near a shed in Kenilworth Park. But Relisha was not with him. She wasn't nearby. There were no signs of her at all, and just like that, the person who may have known what happened to her was gone. The investigation stalled. No new evidence emerged. No witnesses came forward, and Relisha Rudd had simply vanished. The questions became louder. How could this happen? How could a grown man be allowed unsupervised access to a little girl? How could weeks go by without anyone sounding the alarm? The answer? Systemic failure. The shelter didn't flag the relationship. The school accepted excuses without verification. The city's child welfare system, already stretched and overwhelmed, missed the warning signs. and Relisha paid the price. Her case became a symbol of how society fails its most vulnerable children. A girl living in poverty, a girl without safety nets, a girl who slipped through every crack. Her family came under scrutiny as well. Why did her mother allow the relationship? Why didn't anyone in her life say no? Some said Shamika Young was manipulated. Others said she was negligent. But what's clear is that Relisha didn't have the protection she needed. Over the years, leads have trickled in. None have gone anywhere. Despite posters, media coverage and national attention, no trace of Relisha has ever been found. The official theory is grim. Authorities believe Tatum killed her, possibly the same night they were seen at the hotel, and then covered it up. That he murdered his wife to silence her, and that he ended his own life to avoid facing justice. But without a body there is still hope. Hope that somehow she escaped. Hope that she was taken and is still alive. Hope, even faint, that she will return. The city has tried to learn from what happened. Shelter policies have been updated. Children are no longer allowed unsupervised contact with staff. Communication between schools and social workers has been improved. But Relisha Rudd is still missing. Her name is still whispered by those who remember. Her face still appears on billboards and websites, and her story still breaks hearts. Because Relisha was a child who wanted to be seen, a child who smiled for the camera, a child who never got the chance to grow up. She would be a teenager today, maybe in high school, maybe still dreaming of being a doctor. Instead, she's a mystery. If you have any information about the disappearance of Relisha Rudd, contact the DC Metropolitan Police Department or the FBI, because someone knows something, and silence doesn't protect children, it makes them disappear.